Hey everyone, The Spectacular Spider-Man only has 2 seasons and 26 episodes. However, many fans consider it one of the best TV adaptations of Peter Parker's adventures. After the show was cancelled in 2009, one of its main creators, writer Greg Weisman, frequently shared details about the potential content of the cancelled third season. In this video, I will tell you about the unrealized continuation of the animated series, using facts and information from Greg Weisman's website, and several of his interviews with IGN and other websites. Spider-Man would have had Spider-Bots, and the invention of the web shooters would have been a major story arc. In the third or fourth season, the Spider-Mobile was also planned to be introduced, and in the future, Mary Jane and Peter were supposed to get married. Writer Greg Weisman also had plans for Peter's parents. Spider-Man's relationship with Black Cat would have become tense after it was revealed that Uncle Ben was killed by Felicia's father, Walter Hardy. In the third season, the relationship between Betty Brant and Ned Leeds would have become important, and Kurt Connors would have been in Florida working on a cure for Electro. Additionally, events of a separate full-length animated film, set in the same universe, would have taken place in Florida. Eddie Brock's time in Ravencroft would have been shown, and it would have been revealed that the gene cleanser Peter used on him didn't actually affect Venom. In the absence of Norman Osborn, his wife Emily Osborn would have appeared in the third season. Due to Harry Osborn's use of performance enhancers, the entire school football team would have been tested this season. Roderick Kingsley's first appearance in The Spectacular Spider-Man number 43 influenced the decision to make him the owner of a perfume company instead of a fashion designer. This choice was tied to long-term plans for the character, who possibly had a twin brother. There were plans for new episodes focusing on the relations between Tombstone and Robbie Robertson. Greg Weisman also wanted to adapt the boxing scene between Peter and Flash from The Amazing Spider-Man number 8. Silver Sable would have been made more like her comic book counterpart, and Kraven the Hunter's transformation would have been significant for future episodes. Plans for Kraven were closely linked with Jonah Jameson, and the character Calypso was also said to be further developed. The third season was supposed to introduce Hobgoblin, Scorpion, and Morbius. Meanwhile, the second season featured notable characters like Morris Bench, Hobie Brown, Stan Carter, Meg Gargan, Cletus Cassidy, Roderick Kingsley, and Miles Warren. Greg Weisman repeatedly confirmed that these characters were set up to become Hydro Man, the Prowler, Sin Eater, Scorpion, Carnage, Hobgoblin, and the Jackal. The series could have also featured Crime Master after the Game War storyline, as well as Mr. Negative. Additionally, each season introduced a new version of the Sinister Six. Weisman planned to create 65 episodes about Peter in high school and then continue his story in college through direct-to-DVD films. Full-length animated movies were also planned for release on DVD between seasons. Now I will share 2 parts from interviews with the show's writers, Matt Wayne and Greg Weisman, where they revealed unique details about the third season of The Spectacular Spider-Man. If the show had gotten a third season, what would you have wanted it to be like? I would want the show to go spectacular, answers Matt Wayne. Maybe introduce Gravity or Nova as supporting characters. It seems like the 26 episodes tell a complete story with a few resolved cliffhangers. Did you always intend for these 26 episodes to tell a finished story that could be followed from beginning to end? Always, Greg replies. Of course, it's unfortunate we didn't get a third season, but imagine how much worse it would have been if we hadn't even had a second season. Thankfully we did. And while not all storylines were completed, we managed to bring most of our main themes to a logical, albeit open-ended conclusion. Are there any characters you would have liked to work with if The Spectacular Spider-Man had continued? Absolutely, Greg says. We would have continued to introduce new villains, supporting characters, and even superheroes over time. I previously mentioned that we would have included Hobgoblin and Scorpion. Can you hint at the direction the series would have taken if you could have carried out all of your planned ideas? How big were they? No spoilers, Greg answers. But we had some very ambitious projects. Big plans for Hobgoblin. Very big. The Spectacular Spider-Man is a beloved animated series that aired for 2 seasons from 2008 to 2009, gaining a strong fan following due to faithful yet fresh take on the Spider-Man stories. However, a third season never materialized, much to the disappointment of its fans. If a third season were to have been produced, it would likely have continued to build on strength of the first 2 seasons. This strength include well-developed characters, engaging story arcs, and a perfect balance between Peter Parker's high school life and his responsibilities abilities as Spider-Man. The series had a knack for modernizing classic Spider-Man stories while introducing new elements that kept the narrative fresh and exciting. A potential third season could have explored deeper into the complex relationship Peter has with his friends and foes. It would have been interesting to see the further development of characters like Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane Watson, and Harry Osborn. Additionally, more classic villains could have made their debut, providing fresh challenges for Spider-Man. Another compelling aspect would be the continuation of Peter's growth both as a person and as a superhero. The end of the second season left several plot threads unresolved. A third season could have provided satisfying conclusions to these storylines, while introducing new plots that kept the momentum going. Ultimately, while we can only speculate about what a third season of The Spectacular Spider-Man might have looked like, it's clear that it had the potential to further elevate an already excellent series. Its cancellation left a significant void in the hearts of many fans, who still hope for its revival in some form. It was Sony who produced this animated series, but in 2009, at the end of the second season of Spectacular Spider-Man, they sold Marvel the rights to create Spider-Man animated series, to extend their rights to make Spider-Man movies. Sony retained the rights to Spectacular Spider-Man, so Marvel couldn't continue the series, and had to start their own projects. This led to Ultimate Spider-Man in 2012, which ran for 4 seasons, and Spider-Man in 2017, which ran for 3 seasons. Fans, including myself, are eagerly waiting for Season 3 of Spectacular Spider-Man. But why? First and foremost, we love it for the well-developed characters that bring Spider-Man's world to life. Take Peter Parker, for instance, who is constantly torn between his two identities. He has to choose between being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and a regular high school kid. But when he chooses to be Spider-Man, Peter Parker suffers. There was a time when Peter's friend, Curt Connors, turned into the Lizard. Peter had to run off as Spider-Man to save him. However, to his friends, he seemed like a coward who abandoned them. To make matters worse, the Daily Bugle published a story about a giant lizard, with photos taken by Peter Parker. This made him look not just like a coward, but also a traitor, who ditched his friends for personal gain during a crisis. In the end, Peter lost the trust of his friends and his job. He even considered quitting being Spider-Man. And let's not forget the awesome villains. Venom's arc is not only the best in the animated series, but also among all Spider-Man movies and games. Venom made Peter suffer a lot. Plus the Daily Bugle stormed in, with Jameson revealing Spider-Man's identity. Where else have you seen that happen? Then there is the intrigue with the Green Goblin's identity. Until the end of the second season, we were sure that Harry was the Goblin, but it was all a trick by Norman Osborn to divert suspicion from himself. What about the art and animation? The style is definitely simpler compared to previous Spider-Man shows, but this simplicity allowed the creators to craft high-quality action scenes throughout the series. In conclusion, the show turned out amazing, with well-developed characters, a great storyline, and top-notch animation. But you, my dear viewers, click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and write what you think about it in the comments below. We'll see you soon!